All right, welcome back, everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 vs 1 replay cast. Gonna be having ourselves a Protoss versus Zerg. It's actually gonna be a rematch from one of the first WCS replays I cast from this WCS spring. As the first match that I cast was really good, and I've wanted to cast the other one for quite a while now, so finally going to be getting around to doing that, as I believe this has the potential to be another fantastic game between these two players. And in this PvZ, spawning up in the top left-hand side, it is Namshar, the Swedish Zerg player playing for Team Infinity Gaming. And in the bottom right-hand side of the map, playing for Legacy Esports, it is Probe, the Australian Protoss player. So we've got ourselves two fantastic players here. They already cast, or they already played one fantastic game. I was lucky enough to cast that. And so you guys might want to go back on the channel and look for that, because if this one's a good one, you probably want to watch that one too. Also, I know it's been a few days since I last did a video. I do apologize about that one, guys. But, oh man, look at this. Probe. Starting things off, maybe a little bit cheeky here, trying to fake Namshar out. Throws up a pylon. I doubt he'll be throwing anything else up. This is a total fake out. Namshar not really taking the bait, though. Nicely done. So, Probe starting the game off with a fake cannon rush. And, yeah, we'll just see how this game's gonna go between these two. The last one was really late and epic. And by the way, before we get too far into this video, I just want to remind you guys to press that like button. I know it's been a few days since I uploaded a video, just maybe slacking a little bit, just been really busy. But if we can hit the 20 like mark for another one of these videos, that would be great. You guys have been awesome with the support showing that. So make sure to press that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe, as I do a lot of these commentaries. And I'll definitely be doing some more of those WCS replays. I think I might do some of the bigger series in a few days here. As far as this game going on, though, I mean, you guys may be like, why aren't you talking about the game? That's because for the first 2 minutes of most StarCraft games, pretty much everything's the same, and this is a completely standard Stargate opener. Well, I guess standard besides that one sort of pylon fake out. Other than that, this is like this is your bread and butter PvZ opening. And yeah, we'll just see how it's going to go from here. Both these guys playing their comfortable style. And we'll see how this game's going to go. Adept shading out for Probe. Just wondering if there's a Ling out on the map somewhere. Currently, there is. So he's actually waiting for that. Namshar shouldn't run that Ling up there because, yeah, he sees the Adept waiting for that Ling. And now, as we get on into this video, before things really start to heat up, and in the name of keeping things going here, as far as reading the comments, Hackslash says, great casting, great games, top-notch entertainment, GG well played. And that was actually on one of the older Africa World VODs that had MC, Fantasy, Sort of, and Bunny. That one was an absolute blast to cast. So, yeah, thank you for the support, you guys, and your kind words. So make sure to leave your comments if you have thoughts about the games, about StarCraft, about the casting. I'm open to it all. But let's see how this game's going to go. Double Assimilator on the way for Probe, so getting his gases up. He's also got that Oracle now flying on out. Of course, the Stargate has been seen because these are speedy overlords, so they can pretty much scout everything out. I saw a few comments, or I saw like a Reddit thread. It was something for Zerg about how they should maybe make Overlord speed a little bit more accessible, because Zerg has been dying to a lot of these Protoss all-ins. And while maybe that's the case, maybe there needs to be more options or something, or tweaks to reduce the potency of some Protoss all-ins or something. I'm completely super not qualified for this. I do think that a buff to Overlord speed might be a little bit excessive, because like just in the early game, like once you have Overlord speed, it is very good. Like, you see everything just because Overlords are pretty darn quick with it. They're tanky, so they see absolutely everything as as Patrick Stewart would say. But now, in comes Probe. He's just got his 2 Oracles. Gonna actually be getting on in towards his third base. The first real bit of damage getting done this game. Probes, or Oracles, pardon me, target down 4 drones. Maybe could have got a few more, and actually has to be careful. Could lose one of his Oracles. Oh, that was so close. Oh, and it does go down. I don't know how that Oracle stalled for a second there, but it does go down. So that definitely hurts Probe, who's actually making another Oracle here. So going to be playing a very heavy Oracle style is the Australian Protoss, and we'll see what he's going to get done with these Oracles. They have a lot of efficiency. Another player that does this a lot I see is Puck. He does this a fair bit. And now, yeah, we'll see where this game is going to go from here. 3 Oracles, lots of stasis wards, lots of anti-ling possibilities. And, of course, anti-drone if they can find it. But I don't think they'll be finding too many drones. Namshar, good with his defense so far. He's getting up a Roach Warren, getting up a Lair, and getting up +1. So going to be going hard on those Roaches. Right now we see Lings are possibly going to be heading towards this third base for Namshar, but or this third base of Probe. But he's already got a Cyber or a Shield Battery up. He's got a few Adepts, some Sentries in his wall. So he's fine. And, oh, by the way, these Oracles, they fly on in. And they actually kill off 7 workers there. They got to be very careful, though. These are very injured Oracles. Oh, this Queen, she's going for it. So close, but she doesn't get it. So, Probe actually finding himself 7 worker kills there is very huge. He's got a good number of Adepts at his third base, enough to defend from those Lings. They're tucked safely in that pylon. So, a nice opening from Probe there, getting a bit of damage done. Of course, it wasn't super early damage or anything like that, so Namshar still at a very healthy worker count. But not bad for Probe, finding like another 7 drone kills is absolutely huge for the Protoss player. Now, let's see where this game's going from here. Hydra down on the way for Namshar. So probably going to be waiting for that to finish up, getting Roach speed +1. So no immediate attack coming in for Namshar. It's always a possibility. For now, though, on Probe's side of the map, we see Charge coming out. +1 is finished up. And oh my god, I look away for 1 second and 5 more drones go down. I gotta keep eyes on these Oracles. They're just tearing it up. Let's see. 8 kills, 4 kills, and 4 kills. You guys can do the math on that one. But as far as this game's going on, Probe just powering up standard Protoss stuff, getting up Psystorm, making Immortals, Charge, +1. The scary thing right now for Probe is the fact that Namshar is getting up Lurkers. And Lurkers are a very good Zerg unit if you are not prepared as a Protoss player. As, yeah, they're just incredibly good. Now, Namshar's coming on in. Might be a bit of a fake poke here. Just moving towards the third base of Probe. Not finding a whole heck of a lot, though. And we actually see a recall for Probe. That must be to get his Oracles out. It was indeed. So, these Oracles still moving around. Three Oracles being done is actually very nice for the Protoss player because it does allow you to detect those Lurkers without worrying about your observers getting picked off. So nice there for the Protoss player. So Probe definitely going to want to keep these guys alive. And now let's see how this game's going. Muscular Augments on the way for Namshar, so getting up those Hydra upgrades, getting up his fourth base, saturating it up. Maybe we'll see a fifth base go off relatively soon. A Queen taking a bit of abuse from these Oracles, but does manage to get on out of there just fine. And now another Robo going up for Probe. +2 weapons is on the way. Meanwhile, Namshar just stopped at his +1, making some Hydras. He's got that Lurker, and we could very well see him move out from the Zerg player pretty darn soon. No Lurkers have been made just yet, but they morph relatively quickly, all things considered, when you decide to go on the offensive. Meanwhile, these Oracles, they find, I think that was a Zealot or something there. And Probe, he's trying to secure his fourth base, but there is indeed a Zerg army waiting on the outskirts of here. The Zerg army has split up, though, so looking to maybe pull a fast one on his opponent and maybe give him the 1-2 punch or something like that. As Namshar, he's setting his sights towards this base here, perhaps. There's cannons and shield batteries in High Templar, though, so good multi-defense from Probe. Or that's not words right there. Good split for Probe for all of his units. He's got High Templar and cannons and shield batteries, which can defend versus a lot of units. Definitely versus a superior amount. Look at that. Fantastic Psy Storms going down, though. Namshar pretty quick to react. We need to see another Storm or two coming down. These Templar, though, they're actually just a little bit short on gas, so looks like Namshar is pulling Probe apart. On the left side, though, he's just getting torn into, though, as that base is safe for now. And in the end, Probe, while he needed to warp in a few more units, cleans that up. Nicely done. Oh, look at this, though, for Namshar. He's actually going to be going for a move and dropping into the main base of his opponent. There's 2 Stalkers in the main, or 3 Stalkers in the main for Probe, but that is not enough. And let's see what's in here. Roaches and Hydras. More Stalkers have warped in. Some Immortals are retreating to the main base, though, so beautiful reaction from Probe. He's going to be able to clean this up from the seam of it. 3 Immortals is a lot of damage. I think these Immortals can take these Hydras if they focus down the injured ones, although, yeah, that's not the case. High Templar gets picked off. Namshar just trying to get whatever he can. Heading towards that third base, but Templar are there in order to defend. So we're seeing this multi-prong attack come on in for Namshar. He didn't get too much. He traded out with an Immortal. So far, though, great defense from Probe. And if we take a look at the supply, it is looking very nice for the Protoss player compared to the Zerg. Namshar, he's thrown away a fair bit of supply. He made a Lurker den, but he never made any Lurkers. Now, what else do we see? We see +2 about to finish up for Namshar, so they'll be equal on upgrades for now. He's getting up a Spire and a Hive, potential Broodlords on the way in the future. For now, though, this is just a pretty decent spot for Probe. We'll see where he's going to take this, because generally Protoss has to either tech up in order to counter the Broodlords or go for an attack. For now, Probe coming in with a ton of Zealots in that last PvZ I cast between these two. Probe was relentless with his counterattacks. Not so much this game, but that could be the initial whispering of a lot more Zealots to come. Namshar, he's got good creep spread, though, got good vision everywhere. Now, though, Probe looking to move out on the map. Recall gets forced by these Hydras. They put out so much damage. Meanwhile, Probe looking to push on into this other location. His army is split, though. This is a very dangerous thing as the Protoss. If you are a Zerg player and say you lose, say, half your army or something, or a chunk of your army because you split it up and took a bad fight or something, it's potentially recoverable. For Protoss, losing half your army can be pretty darn catastrophic. Let's take a look at the armies here. It's definitely higher up there in the resources for Probe. We now see him crashing on forward. Is Namshar prepared for this? Looks like his 5th base is going to be going down. Meanwhile, Probe pushing to the north there, so getting some nice damage done to his opponent. And this is actually just a very rough spot for Namshar. Now, what Namshar needs to do is he needs to hold on for Broodlords so that he can get to the later stages of this game. For now, though, making Lings and Hydras. Lurkers are also great for buying time. These Lurkers going to be repositioned here. They're revealed, but there's no way Probe can push on into this. Maybe he can get off a good Psystorm or two. Good reaction from Namshar, though, so all's looking pretty good for the Australian Protoss for now. Cleaning up creep, going to be continuously pressuring his opponent. We're now going to be seeing Probe finally join up his army here, and it is going to join up into a very mighty army. Army supplies are equal, but Probe is definitely in the lead as far as army goes. And even thinking ahead, though, he's got himself a fantastic bank at this point for a Protoss. So he is investing in Stargates, he's investing in a Fleet Beacon. He's going to be able to have those upgrades and everything. And start getting up carriers. Start getting up carriers, Tempest, things that counter Broodlords is the main reason why you as a Zerg, as a Protoss player, pardon me, are going to want to get up that Fleet Beacon. He's getting up that ship weapons on the way already. Meanwhile, that +3 Zerg missile attacks is on the way for Namshar. He's already got the Carapace, so Namshar's upgrades aren't looking too shabby. He's eating a lot of Psystorms, though, coming down this ramp. Oh my god, the Psystorm just over and over again for Probe. Just annihilated so much Zerg there. He's trying to push into this location here. Broodlords will be enough to force him back, though. Still, though, absolutely massive damage getting done there with those Psystorms from Probe. We take a look at the base count, we take a look at the supply, it is, yeah, guys, like, look at the supply. This is very, very good for Probe. There's no doubt about it. He's up on supply by a massive amount. He hasn't let his opponent establish other bases. Namshar kind of just got whittled down, in which he's barely standing at this point. His army just, and his economy just isn't enough really to sustain the quality of Zerg that we need to be seeing here. We need to see a Zerg with a great economy, but Namshar doesn't have that. That's how you deal with the late game Protoss army. And I'm afraid that Probe, who's been playing very well so far, is just going to power up and kill his opponent. I'm not sure if I see an out for Namshar right now. We see some Zealots going to be running on in towards this natural base. Meanwhile, the main army going to be pushing on in. They're actually just going to bypass the Broodlords from the seam of it. Broodlings starting to get on some of these Immortals, and a recall does get forced. Still, though, great damage getting done by Probe, just in the sense that he is keeping his opponent down. Yes, he bled off a fair few Zealots and other things there, but this has been fantastic for Probe. Let's take a look at the resources lost. Currently, pretty much doubling the efficiency of his opponent, even making some Void Rays just to counter potential Corruptors and things. He's going to be going for that mass air play, and I'm not sure that Namshar has what it takes. Right now there is no Tempest, so there's nothing to abuse the range to kill the Broodlords. So as long as they're protected from these carriers and interceptors, which the Hydras may very well be able to do, this could actually be a potentially great engagement for Namshar. Hydras working away on the interceptors. Meanwhile, the Lurkers and Broodlords are doing well versus the Immortals. So Probe actually getting bullied off one of his bases, of course, though, continuous with his counterattack. Zealots in the natural. More units are going to be popping out for Namshar, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. He might just have to settle for this base and then retreat, and he's doing just that. So got a bit of damage done, but what's going on back in his natural base? And the answer is not a lot. He's taken big amounts of damage there. Looks like workers going down. Nothing actually too crazy, but it just seems that these moves Probe is getting done are just something that Namshar can't really afford to have happen. Like, there's just, you gotta think, how's the Protoss going to come back and win this game? Or how's the Zerg going to come back and win this game? And right now I'm still not really believing it. Infestors are on the way for Namshar, and Infestors definitely are the reason why Zerg can go toe-to-toe with Protoss in the late game. So I guess that's maybe how Namshar can do it. If he just builds up enough Infestors, if he plays it passive enough, gets the right engagements. That being said, though, it is very tough just to sit back when your opponent is Probe, who's so constant with his counterattacks. Infestors pop out. Maybe could have fungled those Zealots and helped out, but they don't do that, as Namshar busy scrambling, trying to get into position in order to respond to this attack from Probe. Fungals could be huge on this army, as there's Void Rays, as there's Zealots and everything else. But right now we are seeing Probe come on in, and this is a very split up Protoss. Fungals getting tossed down on the army there. What else is there, though, for the Zerg player to deal with this? He's got a decent amount of army. Fungal going down on some Immortals. Keep in mind, fungal units can no longer teleport. They can no longer recall. And basically what that means... Wait, yeah, let me double check. They can't recall. They can't blink. Can they be recalled when they're fungled? Maybe they actually can. This is a good question. I know Stalkers can't blink. Battle Cruisers can't tactical jump, but it actually doesn't say recall there. So I guess you can recall units that have been fungled. As I guess, yeah, they wouldn't just be left behind, I don't think. So, Probe actually still in a pretty good spot this game, all things considered. Look at this. He lost a base down here. Well, he's taken 2 bases up here just to cover that. Keeping his good economy going, that's something very important to do when you're ahead in a match of Starcraft 2. That being said, though, late game, Zerg spellcasters can be very lethal versus a Protoss army. Feedback not quite what it used to be, so it doesn't just make Infestors and explode instantly. It just removes their energy, so not necessarily the most efficient spell anymore. We're seeing some Oracles getting picked off there. These Oracles have been around the whole game, but they're not going to be around any longer. Namshar able to pick those off, and he's actually going for a counterattack to the north. Probe setting up a ton of cannons, getting up, yeah, just an absolute ton of cannons and shield batteries at this base, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to stand up versus these Hydras, and they're very high DPS. Namshar maybe needs to micro these Hydras a little bit. They're not all firing away. And we are seeing, oh my gosh, just a massive Immortal hit squad just going to annihilate this base. That was, what, 3 volleys to pick it off? Those Immortals dealing serious damage there. And Probe getting a pretty good trade once again versus his opponent. Is he just going to come on in and take this base out too? I think he can. Yeah, he can actually just fully kill off this base. Looks like these Immortals going to continuously get fungled and get picked off, but that's because Probe is just busy transitioning into a better air army. He needs that air supply. Now, this was a lot of resources in Immortals. That was, what, like 8, 9, 10 Immortals, maybe? And that is a lot of value in Immortals that you don't want to just be throwing away. That might have been a bit excessive for Probe. Immortals can pretty much always have some value, but I guess he is just going to be going into this mass carrier, so... yeah, I mean, they did their job. They picked off 2 bases, at least, so getting some value for them. And if it allows Probe to build up the ultimate air army, hey, more power to him, because, I mean, you do need a very serious Protoss Armada, a very good composition if you're going to take on a late-game Zerg, because Infestors are just so powerful, guys. Like, you gotta understand one Infested Terran. Okay, versus these Zealots, they're just going to pop them off pretty quick, and that's because they now benefit from attack upgrades and such. And then just with the Fungal, with the mass-infested Terran, you just lock down a Protoss air fleet, and Infested Terran massacre air units. Like, it's just insane. They fire their rockets decently quick, and they deal so much anti-air damage. As those Infested Terrans, they got equipped with rocket launchers. Looks like some Hydras sharking about for Namshar. So, considering the start of this game, things were looking pretty rough for Namshar, but he's doing a good job bringing it back, making it a closer late-game situation. Probe, though, still powering up, getting all of his air upgrades, getting shields, an extra Oracle to keep tagging his opponent's army, a Warp Prism. Warp Prisms are such a critical harassment tool, and Probe has been using them to great effect. For now, though, I mean, eventually you do have to deal with the massive Zerg army. And engaging this is not easy. Oh, looks like these Void Rays get on in there. Beautifully done by Probe, just using some units that he maybe doesn't care too much about at this point. Gonna be picking off some drones, picking off some Spore Crawlers, and most importantly, getting that hatchery. Oh, 2 Infestors get picked off. It's important to note that Void Rays actually chew through Infestors because they are armored. Those Infestors just rip into those Void Rays there. As this game's going on, just look at the production tab. 4 carriers, 4 Infestors on the way. Is there Neural Parasite out? There is no Neural Parasite, so Namshar, not really thinking of using that in order just to take over all the carriers. It definitely is an option later on for the Zerg. It is a tough and risky spell to use, but sometimes it can just be so efficient. Now let's take a look. More Zealots going to be running on in towards the natural base for Probe. You just see a bit of red on the minimap. You can assume it's some Zealots, a Warp Prism at the back of the base. If he got in there and picked off production, that would be very nice. For now, though, it's still going pretty well for Probe as he shuts down this base once again, doing a great job there. Looks like the Oracle gets picked off. There we go, Zealots being warped into the main base. 7 Zealots, and that is going to be 1 dead Greater Spire, so no +3 air attack for... no +3 air attack for Namshar. That one Queen tries to get off transfused, but that doesn't happen. Probe just so good with his Warp Prism harassment, with his Zealots all over the map. We're seeing a double Spire go up for Namshar, which is definitely going to help on out. Keep getting those upgrades as the later and later a game gets, the more important those are. Namshar, he's just been hanging on this game. We'll see if he's able to keep it going any longer. I mean, army supplies are relatively even, and all it really takes is one good clear of your opponent's army, one decisive fight or great fungal catch, and you are just laughing as Namshar. So we'll see if Probe's able to avoid that and maybe just close out this game, because he's been ahead for a fair while now. Namshar, though, just going to want to be able to... take a good fight here. In comes the carriers. Now keep in mind, all the Infestors are really out of position a little bit here. Now they come on in. Feedback goes down on some of those Infestors. Looks like a couple of High Templar are going to pay the price with their lives, though, so pretty much just trading out. Look at that. Infested Terran, they just annihilate Interceptors. They just annihilate everything. They are good units, man. 5 drones go down. I'm guessing that was Zealots somewhere out on the map. Possibly to do with this warp prism. Prism just moving on down for Probe because why not? There's no corruptors out. So there's actually nothing that'll allow him to chase down that Prism, really. As long as it stays in the dead space. Namshar investing in a ton of spores and spines here. Definitely worth it for a Zerg player taking on a mass carrier army. You got to have that perfect efficiency versus your opponent. And it all comes down to that one big fight. So the spores really do help with that. One thing I'd like to see for Namshar is for him to squeeze out another round of drones or two. 47, while you want the bigger army, isn't quite enough, I'd say, as all it is going to take is 1 or 2 good punches from Probe, and this could possibly be one of them, in order to pretty much cripple Namshar and just set him back too far economically that he's no longer able to really stay in the game just because he'll have taken so much damage. 11 probes go down somewhere. Not sure where that was, pardon me, but I get the feeling that it might have just been an actual counterattack or just a probe sacrifice from Probe. Now, in comes these DTs, and they're going to have a field day as they are just ripping into buildings. Looks like the infestation pit goes down, evolution chambers, and just other structures going down. Oh my god, these DTs are getting so much work done. They will be getting cleaned on up, but that was some good value there. Such a pain for Namshar to have to rebuild all that tech. Get up the infestation pit, get up the evolution chamber. And what else did he lose? Spawning pool, but there was something else. Lurker Den, that was it. Now, as this game's going on, Probe just sharking about with his carriers, playing this game very cautious. I mean, in the past, a Protoss might just have A-moved into the Zerg and just Psystormed and just killed everything, but Infestors are very good defensively versus carriers, so that's why we've been seeing Probe very cautious not to overextend. It's like Psystorm going down on some infested Terran, more of those getting tossed out. Some Zealots running towards the natural base of Namshar once again. How many Zealots have gone down this game? We have seen 91 Zealots go down, which is no small amount. Looks like the Hydralisk Den gets picked off for all these Zealots' lives. Immediately restarted by Namshar as he's rebuilding his spawning pool, getting up those upgrades that were denied once more. And Probe just sharking about still, just this big old Protoss armada not attacking in. I really want to see it. I really want to see Probe go for it, guys. Let's just see it. That being said, we're 27 minutes into this WCS game, and these tournaments of high stakes, you definitely don't just want to throw it away. A lot of carriers out for Probe. So many carriers. How many is that? That's like 19 or something. I guess we can just press this and check. Yes, 19 carriers out for Probe. And he's just laughing. Tries to pick off a hatchery for Namshar. Good save by the Swedish Zerg. Guys, there's a reason why I didn't cast all this series all at once, and that's because some of these games have just been so long here between Probe and Namshar. This is already a 28-minute video, so make sure to hit the like button if you're still with us, guys, as this goes to show that you've been watching this PvZ go on for 28 minutes while I ramble to myself as we wait for Probe to attack on in with all those carriers that he's been building up. Like, this is a serious Protoss army. More value than the Zergs, but they're actually relatively close. Now we see more Spore Crawlers going to be going down for Namshar. You can never have enough Spore Crawlers as a Zerg in this situation. The spores for days. Carriers moving north. Not finding a lot. Not doing a lot. They're just hanging out. Probe trying to drive is crazy as we wait for the big engagement. He's got 2 Warp Prisms, by the way. This is the time in which the players are kind of bored, neither of them going to attack, so Probe randomly starts Blink. Just always good to have that for reinforcement purposes. Getting up a ton of gateways just to back this up. How many does he have already? He's already got 8. So he's gone up to a serious number of gateways, but you know, when you got a bank of 5,000 minerals, you may as well go for it. Couple of oracles, they join the enemy side as Namshar abducts them. Oracle's getting picked off. Minor skirmishes here, but no big commitment or anything. Zealots being queued up once again. I remember in the last game I did mention how Probe might have been throwing away a little bit too much money going for this. As, for example, these Zealots not going to get a lot done. You gotta respect the ambition, but that resources loss gap is starting to close. And that last game, I mean, Probe managed to... spoilers alert. If you guys... Actually, you know what, I won't say it, but... You guys probably already figured out from me saying that, but you know... Like, you can throw away money, and sometimes players justify doing that by managing to win the game, but there's still such a thing as just excess money spending on, like, harassment, particularly when it comes to Zealots. Now, these Zealots gonna get on in here, shut down the Greater Spire, which is a very nice move. Namshar wasn't in position for this, but okay, this could be the big fight. Looks like Probe stepping forward, losing some of his Infestors, or some of his High Templar there, as he gets some counter damage done. Oh, looks like good save on that Spire, though, from Namshar. Just picks off all those Zealots like it's nothing. Minor skirmish, no big battle just yet. We look at the banks. It's still in the lead for Probe, by far. Namshar, though, he's up on supply. He's built a massive army, as he has a lower drone count. 160 army supply is no joke. Warp Prism looks to be running away from these Corruptors that are pursuing it, as Probe probably wants to warp in another whackload of Zealots. For now, though, there was 8 Zealots warping in at this location. This is an exposed base that Namshar was just trying to take. Probe not seeing it for a second. His Zealots were about to run on by, and these poor Spore Crawlers do not have a chance to hatch, so Namshar, he's just going to nope out of there. He says, nope, this base, not for me. So, nice harassment there from Probe. Looks like he'll get the hatch, or it's going to be close. Yeah, he definitely gets the hatch, I feel. Or does he? Oh, it's going to be close. Wow. Very close save from Namshar. We see Zealots warping into the main base, so Probe just wanting to rack up that death count of more and more Zealots. Spine Crawler gets picked off. Queen's going to be going down. Looks like we have the carriers coming in. They do the Protoss thing. The Golden Armada purges the Zerg infestation. Meanwhile, multiple attacks from Probe, and this one is just outlandish. We're seeing probes attacking Namshar. Meanwhile, Zealots in the main base. Big fleet moving forward, but we are seeing a bit of an engagement here. A couple of carriers got neural parasited, and they are just going to go down as those infested Terrans and Spore Crawlers annihilate them. So, a nice move from Namshar. And Probe, while he's going for these massive Zealot warpins, you ask, what is it really getting done? What damage is it doing to win Probe this game? As his efficiency, it's starting to fall off, guys. I mentioned this before, and I mentioned it pretty much every game. This is a 32-minute game. We got to talk about efficiency a little bit here. Probe now behind in the resources lost, and that's partially, a good chunk of that is due to 150 Zealots, which have gone down. 15,000 minerals of Zealots, and they've got some damage done in counterattacks, but I think if we added it all up, the Zealots, the amount of Zealots that Probe has been warping in is not enough. The damage that they've been getting done is not enough to justify that many Zealots. Like, look at this, 8 Zealots being warped in. Where are they going? Where are they going? Show yourself, Zealots. Looks like they were in the main base. They're engaging some Hydras. I think the Hydras are going to win. And Namshar, oh, looks like he's going to be losing some Spore Crawlers. So this is a nice move for Probe. Getting on in here, picking off a base. Still got to really respect that Zerg army, though, as it is absolutely terrifying. Resources lost, though. Starting to go more and more in the lead for Namshar. As it's not a good thing to have the higher resources lost, guys. Zealot counterattack moving on in. Denies this base. Nicely done. But if this is all these zealots get done, that's not worth it, because that was 75 minerals for like 8 zealots, which are just going to be rallied on in here and probably just get cleaned on up. Yeah, look at this. Zealot's going to die. They'll take out a fair few lings with them. And the queen's not actually doing that much. Okay, maybe in this particular engagement that wasn't necessarily the case. The zealots, they pick off a fair bit. In the end, though, still, resources lost. Probe has been trading less efficient than he maybe could be. That's my critique for this game. And he's also got his carriers very clumped up, and this is one monster of a Zerg army. 34 minutes into this game, Probe is making 6 probes at a time because he wants to get his economy back on track. And keep in mind, guys, you can trade less efficient if you can steal your opponent's bases. So there's always a chance that Probe mines out this base to the north and then steals this base to the south, and that's exactly what he's thinking. So nice thought there by Probe. And if you can just mine even a little bit, it is like, it's basically like double value, because you're taking money away from your opponents and you're giving money to yourself. Infestor's got to be careful. Avoid those carriers. It's like Probe, though, double expanding. If he can just take these bases, even just for 5 minutes or something, it'll be absolutely huge. Looks like some good fungals go down, but all recalls do go down. And those units, they do get dragged away from those infestors there by the recall. A big Zealot Warpin going down for Probe, whether it's just defensive or not, is a question that has yet to be determined. Although he's very happy. I mean, Probe has just been being very passive this game. He's gone for small pokes here and there. No big engagement. Just happily trading this out. And he can be horribly inefficient if he wants to. Even if he manages to take this base, even for a little while, it really starts to add up. So this is why Namshar, he's starting to set his eyes on this base to the north. I mean, you can't let the Protoss or your opponent take either, or really both of these locations. They can take one, not both, because one of these bases belongs to each of these players. Looks like the carriers are stepping forward, but it's only infestors in order to challenge them, so the carrier's going to quickly nope on out of there. Meanwhile, this base to the north going to be getting picked off. So Namshar going to be trading out with Probe a little bit here. Nothing too major, though. Oracle going to have a bad time as it flies right into those infested Terran and they pop it off. Infestors going down, trying to get some fungal growth. Nice Psy Storms landing from Probe. And in the end, he does get on out of there. Namshar took a bit of a beating. Shutting down this base to the north, though, is a nice move. Now he just needs to set his sights to this base to the south, though. As, I mean, you definitely want to keep killing your opponent's bases. This is a close game. This could just keep going on. Oh my god, it's actually never going to end. Probe versus Namshar. What a crazy late game PvZ. Both these guys awesome to watch. Now, Namshar bleeding off a few units to these interceptors. It's like a couple of DTs moving on in. Nice move. Just picking off creep tumors, picking off queens, making sure that this base doesn't get up. Although I don't think you really remake this base as Namshar at this point. It might just be something that you long distance mine in the long run. Hydra's coming on in here for Namshar, but they are committed at this point, so they got to be very careful. Yeah, these Hydras are going to be forfeit, and that is a big loss at this point when every resource matters. A nice move by Probe. Let's see how this game's going. Infestors are coming on in. The carriers are out of position. This could be the big engagement right now. Fungal growth going down. Psy Storms hitting all the infested Terran, though. That's what Probe needs to take those out. Otherwise, they will shred into his carriers. Neural Parasites landing on Probe's army. Namshar's hand was kind of forced. Tons of infested Terran just popped, though. They are working away on the carriers. This big engagement is happening now. The Broodlords have cleared out all of the High Templar on the ground, and suddenly it's infested Terran ripping into the carrier army of Probe. That being said, though, can the carriers escape? If they can escape, he cleaned out all of Namshar's infestors. Oh my god, that was a crazy engagement there. That just happened, and at the end of the day, when the dust settles, I think that worked out pretty well for Probe. Probe lost a lot of interceptors there, lost a lot of, or all his High Templar, really, but in the end, he kept his carriers alive, and that was the most expensive part of his army, whereas Namshar, he doesn't really have the money to remax, and as a matter of fact, he's not made any more infestors, or he's got 3 when you need a lot more infestors to deal with these carriers, that's definitely what did it for you. And suddenly I don't think the Zerg player has what it takes in order to beat this Protoss army, because there's now Archons in here, there's Charge Lots, and the High Templar are going to have Psystorm once again. And while Namshar wants to push it in, maybe just because he's impatient or maybe because he's scared, I think he's done for. Yeah, these Corruptors are going to come on in and start hitting these carriers. They're not enough to one volley them down, though, so Namshar has to focus down the injured ones, has to take multiple volleys to pick them off. I mean, this is going all right for him as far as trading out goes, but I think Probe should be able to rally and push this back. How much anti-air is there for the Zerg player? There's 15 Corruptors versus 10 carriers, as the Hydras and Infested Terran aren't really a factor anymore. The Corruptors, though, if they can focus down the carriers while they're working away on everything else, this is actually way too close. I did not expect it to be this close. Is Namshar actually going to be able to do it? Looks like he is going to panic DT Warp and is going to clear the ground force, or at least push it back, but Probe's carrier army was cleaned out by Namshar. The Corruptors not caring about the cannons, just wanting to pick off all of these carriers, and they are able to do just that. Now, we have to look at where this game landed, though. Namshar, he committed a lot into that, but he's getting an important base of Probe. However, Probe has more of a bank, though. Look at his gas bank. He can make a good number of Archons if he so chose. He's warping in Stalkers and making 6 Void Rays at a time, and that is absolutely anti-Corruptor if I've ever seen it. So it might be time to panic a little bit if you are Namshar, because while Namshar, he took a good engagement and he fought well with what he had. And honestly, to my surprise, I thought Probe had that, but no, I mean, Namshar was able to do that. Well done by him, but his economy just hasn't been a thing anymore. He never took this base, or he never took this one. And as a result, the fact that Namshar didn't really mine all of his minerals that he had access to, he didn't get to say that couple thousand there, or didn't mine from one of these bases at all, really. That's what has given Probe more resources here, more to build up. He's got a 4,000 gas bank. He's got minerals for days. And as a result, the standing army is looking pretty good for Probe, I say. Namshar spending his gas, squeezing out 3 more infestors, rebuilding his greater spire that must have gone down into one of Probe's many counterattacks. But yeah, look at this. Like, what you do as Namshar, his income has got to be pretty darn low at this point. What base is he mining at? He's got this one. That's starting to run dry a little bit, though. Hydras are going to have to force back the Stalkers. Broodlords can help out. Oh, both these guys on such a low army. What an epic PvZ. Lings buried at these bases is absolutely huge for Namshar to deny probe mining from them. If Probe secures one of these bases, I think it's probably just GG. It might just be GG anyway, as Probe still has a bit of an income here. And is even long-distance mining, which is a significant factor at this point. And there we go. This is Probe's gas bank in action. This is a lot of Archons right now for the Protoss player. He's going to be moving on in. Army supply is actually relatively even here, but let's see. Fungal growth going down on some of these Archons. Is it going to be enough to pick them off? More Broodlords are popping, which are actually going to be so critical here, because Archons are not good versus Broodlords. But the Stalkers are getting on top. There's actually enough Void Rays here. I think Fungal growths have been chained excellently by Namshar, but there's still High Templar on the ground. There's still so many Archons. And is Probe going to be able to take this game? This has been a fantastic PvZ, but in the end, I think Probe wins out. Getting this base has got to be the nail in the coffin for his opponent, right? Namshar's not mining at all, and he needs some sort of miracle engagement. Probe is just looking for blood. He just wants to kill his opponent, and I think he can. There's a lot of supply and Corruptors here for Namshar, and the Void Rays will go down, sure, but then there's so many Archons on the ground. Look at this, Probe just coming in with more Psystorm because he's been able to make so many High Templar. And he's just pushing forward. There's not enough on the ground. There's not enough in the skies for Namshar. He's going to be losing his Broodlords. He's transfusing them, trying to keep him alive, but he's in a state of constant retreat. And these Archons are just whittling down Namshar's army. Fungals have been going down, trying to weaken up these Archons, but it's just 2 Broodlords versus all these cotton balls. And I want to say that Probe has done it at this point. It's wacky, but Namshar, he can't do anything versus this. And Probe is mining. Long distance mining. He's got this base with a few minerals here. I think that's all he needs, right? I think Namshar is done. Like, yeah, he's really down on supply. I thought Namshar was going to just get bopped in this fight here, but in the end, he managed to bring it out. Make sure to hit that like button, guys, as Probe takes the game there. As what a crazy PvZ between those two. I was wondering whether I should cast these two again, and it was definitely worth it. A 44-minute Protoss versus Zerg. I gotta check what time it is because that one ran late there. But no, if you guys enjoyed this game, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. That was an awesome PvZ. I'll see you guys next time.